Cabo family, what's up, cholleros? I'm in our San Jose office today waiting on a meeting here, and I figured I'd do a quick little video, and this one is going to be basically delivery dates versus closing dates, two different things. In a market like Los Cabos where you have a lot of pre-construction happening, let's say you've bought your unit, it's your first property outside of the country, you're really excited, and you're looking at this date on the contract. Every contract is different, correct? But, what we have seen, generally the date that is given, and there's usually a grace period, especially after COVID, you think you are going to get your condo or home, let's just go and say 3 to 6 months after what the agent would tell you, right? Let's use a condo complex, okay? So the developer buys a piece of land, right? So you think of this piece of land that they buy as one piece that has one tax ID number on it. Then they, in their due diligence, basically, obviously, before they would purchase the land, they're going to make sure they can do what they want to do. Let's say on this particular piece of land, they can do 80 condos. 80 condos, let's call it 4 stories. How much amenities, how much of this is green area, et cetera, right? So they start building this community out, and they have basically where your condo finished, right? So they'll call you up and they'll say, Jim or Kathy, your condo is ready. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to need your final payment. Now, physically, that condo could be ready, right? To the point where you can take possession, you could live there, you could rent it out. Maybe all the amenities are done and there's people running around. You can take delivery, right? The other thing is the ownership, right? So when you actually do the closing, these are not the same. Now, if you buy something that is built out, it's very simple to see who owns it and kind of judge when you'll have a closing within plus or minus a week of when you agree. That's pretty average unless it's a more complex piece of property, right? I'm talking about pre-construction. So we go back until that developer builds out a certain percentage of the project. They cannot go to the city and apply for the condo regime, which then gives each individual unit a tax ID number versus just that one lot. So until that happens, you don't actually own the property, and you can set up all sorts of soft closing type structures. You're 100% going to be using a licensed attorney here, licensed, and not somebody from the developer. If you do that with somebody from the developer, it's kind of like, walking down a alley late at night with a bunch of gold chains on. Good luck to you. Nobody's going to feel bad when you get jumped. So you need outside counsel to come in and basically say, hey, yes, this is a good idea. We see the paperwork has been filed. It is just a formality of it's going to be a set of time before the municipality can get this paperwork back. We say it's going to be a couple months. I'm working with a project that I sold pre-construction, and we had, I'd say, a 5-month lag from when the condo was delivered and finished, right, until when title was there for a closing date. So you could take possession of that unit, rent it out, et cetera, but you would not officially own it. This is where it can get tricky in the contract, right? Depending on what the contract says, generally you don't have to do anything and make any sort of final payments until you get title, And if it's in a community that is getting built out and there's nobody living there and they haven't completed the amenities yet, why are you going to take early possession unless you really need to live there or you really want to flip it or whatever it is, right? There's no upside to taking that delivery. Now, you have a market that's on fire. Maybe, you want to get that so you can put it on the market, but also how are you going to sell to somebody else if you don't have title? Right? Developers want their money yesterday. So when the condo is ready, they're going to be quick to call you. I was working with this guy and he said, Fletcher, the communication's been bad from this developer. They're not going to be reaching out when it's ready. And I said, trust me, that's going to flip real quick. The communication's going to get very, very active. So they might not have been saying anything, but when it comes time to get their money, they will be reaching out. I guarantee it. I just want to let you guys know that you have a delivery date and you have a closing date. Okay. And the closing date is when you're at a notario, a public notary here, and you're signing off on a property, right? And it's filed as like, boom, you own it. Now you are like 100% responsible. Whereas the soft close with an attorney doing paperwork for you, you can say, hey, the title is coming, but since we feel so good about this and the attorney says it's going to be ready, the paperwork's already been filed. It's just a matter of time from the local government. You know, we can call it bureaucracy. You know, it's not exactly going to get moving right away. So when you have these bureaucratic organizations and municipalities, you know, it's not really the developer's fault a lot of the time. But if that is a thriving community where you can rent it out, where you can use it, you got the Christmas, you know, family coming out for Christmas, maybe this is a reason to take possession, right, versus actual ownership. But it's very important to know these things. Let's get the condo and then let's own the condo. And you as the buyer, depending on the contract, but generally most contracts be like, hey, you don't have to pay any more monies until you get that title, unless you want to actually use the unit. So that's where having a conversation with the person that you're working with is a good idea. Getting a lawyer to look at the paperwork and actually prove that the developer has sent off all of the required paperwork to get that title. And that's basically the condominio or régimen de condominio, you know, the condo regimen. And that will prove that, hey, now it's in the city, in the municipality's hand. I'm starting in Babylon here, and I have my meeting coming up here shortly. Hopefully you got some value from that. If you need any help or any ideas for a new video, reach out.